Hey guys, I'm Ray, and we are streaming blacksmithing. Welcome to the shop, guys. Hello, Corwin. Hi, guys. Hello. So, when I started up my OBS and my Twitch today, hey, Shelly, welcome to the stream. Hello, hello. So yeah, when I first started up the stream, I got a notification. So today is Mahalo's 1-year anniversary for being a mod for our channel. So I am super excited. And thank you so much, Mahalo. And when I see that you're here, I'll thank you again. But thank you so much for being such a wonderful mod and a integral part of our community here at Ray Smithy. So thank you so much for being a mod for a whole year. It is so crazy. I did not realize that it had been that long, but yeah, it has. I remember we had started growing around the time of my birthday last year. And so, yeah, it's been crazy. Thank you so much for, hi, Mahalo. Thank you so much for modding for us. You have been an amazing mod for our community. You're always here. You're always watching. And yeah, you've just been an integral part of this community. So thank you so much for your support. Thank you so much for modding for our channel. Yeah. Okay, so let's see. Today, well, I suppose I should probably talk a little bit about Monday stream and what we've been up to this week. So Monday, we started working with a couple of railroad spikes. And so this one right here on Monday, we turned into a steak flipper. So we've got a nice little flipper. We've got a twisted spike end with a pineapple twist over here. We created a nice steak flipper. There's a few things I want to fix on here, and we could do that today if you guys feel like it. But I figure if you don't, we can move on and start working on the other spike, and I'll do this this weekend. So there is a little bit of awkwardness with the twist between the steak flipper section and the head of the railroad spike. There's also a little bit of weirdness going on with our pineapple. So, hello, Random Logic. Welcome to the stream. So I want to fix it before we take nice, pretty pictures of it and do our video on it. But, I mean, I can wait and tweak it a little bit this weekend if we need to. So my main project that I wanted to start, even if we are working on fixing this guy, is a railroad spike dagger. So we're going to take this railroad spike and we're going to cut it in half this direction, and then we're going to flip it over and turn it this direction, and then cut it this way. So we are flipping it over 180 degrees and turning it 90 to create a perpendicular cut. And we're going to splay that out, and it's going to turn into a T or a cross. This side over here is going to create a hand guard, and this side right here is going to create the blade and the handle where, you grip the dagger. And it'll probably be closer to like a parrying dagger for like fencing or something like that. So I'm really excited to play with this design. This is a design that several people over the past year or so have been kind of perfecting and working on, and working with several different blacksmiths have been putting their own little spins on things. So I think I'm going to try it myself. So yeah, we've got this dagger. I think it's probably going to take us about 2 streams. So today and Friday, or, half of today, Friday, and a little bit of Monday. But I think I'm probably just going to put this up for a little bit. That way we can start a brand new project. This looks like a steak flipper. It's not the most efficient steak flipper, but it is what it is, right? So I think unless you guys really want to see me fix this, and what I mean by fixing it is I want to re-square the handle by heating it up and just squaring it off. And then we're going to restart the entire twist process. So that way, you know, we're creating a new pineapple twist with fresh sides. If there's any indentation from the cuts from the first pineapple twist, we'll be grinding those away. But I want to make it nice and pretty. There is, I kind of screwed up when I was aiming the cuts. So yeah, I think we're going to spend the weekend on this, and we'll probably do the dagger. But yeah, I will show you guys the results of this probably on Monday. So yeah, I want to do two really good railroad spike projects. Railroad spike projects, to me, are very iconic blacksmith projects, right? You know, you see bottle openers, railroad spikes, horseshoes, things like that. They're very iconic, very basic projects that a lot of people start with. Because, I mean, it's relatively easy to get a hold of some railroad spikes and some horseshoes. Now, I personally draw the line at horseshoes. I don't work with them just because, you know, there's a big difference between farriering and blacksmithing. And that's not the kind of blacksmith I am. So, I don't know. Maybe in the future sometime I'll do some. But for now, I kind of draw the line at horseshoes. So, we're going to play with some railroad spikes. So the first thing I want to do for this one is I actually want to heat this up and upset it. Upsetting is the process of hammering the steel back on itself. So the reason I want to do this is a really thin railroad spike, right? And so I want to create a little bit of a thicker area so that when I cut it down for the handle and the blade, I have a little bit more material to play with. I don't need a really long handle, and I wanted a wider blade. So we're gonna do a little bit of upsetting, not a lot, but a little bit, and see what we can do there. So we're going to turn on the mailbox first, and then when we're ready, after we've cut this into its plus formation, when we are splaying it out, we are going to use the big forge. So we'll be using both forges today. All right, so let's start the mailbox first so we can get that out of the way. It was either upsetting or it was cutting off the end of this spike. We've got a little thin section here for, you know, because it is a spike. I don't want to lose that material, so we're just going to upset it, see if we can't make it a little bit thicker, create maybe like a pommel type area, and maybe thicken up the blade a little. See if I can effectively start my torch. I'm still having a little bit of trouble with my bum finger. So hopefully it'll be all right. All right. And we're going to be using these tongs to work with this because I want to get a 90-degree, because we're going to be hammering directly on the end here. So a good 90-degree grip is probably going to be best. So we're going to start with this for the moment. I don't want to heat the whole thing up. I just want to heat that very end up. So we're probably not going to push it all the way in there, but just enough that we can get a little bit of thickness. All right. let's move our camera into place. I wasn't sure exactly what we were going to start with today at first. So let's move the camera into position. So how have you guys been over the past couple of days? I have been kind of busy. It's Wednesday, so I released my latest edited video. It is the last video from the IBA conference. It is my overview kind of travel video. So there's a few behind the scenes things that we had to deal with, like a rainstorm. There's a little bit extra from the Andrew Welton interview. And yeah, we also got to see a car show while we were there. So there's several shots from that car show. So it was a fun time, and so I have released that video today. Next week I have a review on a Starlink Mini that Mahalo sent me to borrow. And it worked very well. So I have my review that'll be posted next week. Mahalo says, been good, thanks. Weather has calmed down so I can actually get stuff done. Oh, that is awesome. We've had a major rainstorm this morning, and then it's kind of trickling in right around now. We're getting a little bit of rain here. Afternoon, Plunder Shop. Railroad spikes sound like a blast. They are a blast. They can be hard to work with too, though, because that big old spike, you got to have a way to get around it. The car show was a fun surprise. I like the little Chevy truck too. It was so cute. And I love the color too. It was a nice blue. There was a lot of yellow vehicles there too. So it was really fun just seeing all of the different colors. A lot of times we see really dull locations and not a lot of color in the blacksmith shop outside of the glowing steel, So it was really nice to see the car show with all of the pretty paint jobs and stuff. So yeah, I had fun. I had a lot of fun. I think I want to kind of orient my travel videos a little bit more like that, where it's more than just the conference. So like all of the different, side quest kind of content that I have as well. So sometimes I get a lot of that. Sometimes I don't get as much, depending on how long we're able to get off of work, so that we can go hang out and see what else there is to do, just besides just going to the blacksmithing conference. And my blacksmithing conferences are always my top priority, but sometimes it's nice to get away for just a little bit. So it was really cool seeing the car show. Let's see. Okay, so we are still heating up a little bit. I think we've got plenty of length on where that heat area is going to be, so we should be able to get a nice section upset. Good to chase down a pizza too. Yes. So a lot of times what happens when I go to conferences is we are just running. I go from one thing to the next thing to the next. And so by the time it starts to get dark and we start getting hungry, sometimes it's kind of late. And so it's really nice to be able to kind of leave the site and sit in an actual restaurant and kind of discuss the day, plan for the next day or two, and kind of figure out where we are and relax a little bit. I do get to enjoy a lot of the blacksmithing conferences, and like I said, they are my highest priority, but sometimes I get tired sometimes, so it's really good to be able to refocus and recenter and kind of assess where we are and what we still need to do on occasion. So yeah, I'd like to do a little bit more personality in my videos, I think. So that one was kind of longer. I'm kind of experimenting with the length of my videos, and we'll see, you know, how well those go. Like I said, you know, it's an experiment. So, you know, we'll see. We'll see how it goes. All right. Let's do our first heat. Hopefully you guys can see that adequately. And as we are upsetting, we will need to make sure that everything is nice and straight as we go. A lot of times your steel wants to bend when you are doing upsetting, especially on longer pieces of steel. So you got to make sure that you're on top of that. So we've made some pretty good progress. Both sides were, you know, at a point. We've kind of shoved that nose in there. So let's heat it up again and see if we can't shove more of that material into the rest of the spike. I like the vlog style and getting to see a little bit of the town. Like you said, it doesn't have to be just the conference. It can have some mini vacation vibes too. Yeah, and I want to do a little bit more of that, especially like even in the shop here. I kind of want to express a little bit about like what's going on in my head, what problems I'm running into, something a little bit more personality based, and because I don't really do tutorials per se, so I want to bring a little bit more personality into it so that it's a little bit more interesting to watch maybe. Like I said, you know, I'm also looking into doing just close-up shots of the piece of steel as it moves and things. So I want to kind of differentiate the more visual with more of the, you know, personality and the story that I'm trying to tell. So hopefully it works, maybe. It works for Alex Steele, and you know, it kind of works a bit for Will Stetler. So I figure, you know, I'll let Black Bear and some of the other guys do more tutorial stuff. And I mean, we can still do tutorials as well. So we'll see how it goes. Let's see. We got some pretty good heat coming in there. Let's do another round. I think I'm gonna put that side this time. Let's go this direction, because I'm losing, we've got a lot of rust right now, so I'm starting to lose a lot of scale, and I want to make sure that I'm not burning myself. I have enough injuries that I'm trying to still heal from. I don't really want to add to it. just do this a little bit. Plus I have a bigger head. It's a bigger target. All right, we're getting there. We're getting there. Let's keep on keeping on. So the IBA conference is actually one of my favorite conferences to go to. We've gone to several different conferences over the 2 years that we've been doing this, and yeah, I really think that IBA is one of my favorite ones. There's actually quite a lot going on, but it's also kind of a smaller, more intimate affair. There are only a few booths here and there for tailgaters. You can really get in and talk to the people who are presenting, and so it's such a tight-knit community, and you can really get to know people and stuff. So like BAM is like the closest conference to me, so I really like that one too, but it's a little bit on the bigger side, so it's harder to really get to know people. It's not quite as intimate, and a lot of people from a lot of areas all across the Midwest go. It's great. It's great to see people working and to learn things, but I kind of like the smaller ones, you know. So it's also a great place to do a few experiments here and there, see if we can't up our game a little bit. Like this year, we switched up our travel setup. Normally, or what we had been doing in the past, is streaming solely from our phones, and that can be okay, but the quality of the images that you get isn't quite the same as what we get here in the shop, because you know we've got the static cams on the tripods, and so I can record in 2K. I can only broadcast in 1K, but I get to record in 2K, and so when we're out in conferences, I only get to stream at the 720. And so we brought the laptop out. I think we were still streaming at 720p, so that probably wasn't as big of a jump for the stream itself, but it was a huge jump for the rest of the content. The butler didn't have to constantly be switching between the phone and the DSLR, and it was just a lot more convenient, a lot lighter of a setup too. Have a good day. I have to get ready for class. Well, have a good day at class, Shelly. Learn a lot. BAM is my favorite conference in Sedalia, Missouri. Yeah, like I said, I really like the Sedalia, the BAM conference in Sedalia, but it's just a tiny bit bigger, you know, and that's not a bad thing. I mean, I love going to Quad State too, because there are so many different people from all over the place. You can find so many amazing deals on equipment, and so many different people from all over the country to like talk to. And it's the same with BAM. I mean, people from all over the country come to BAM as well. So, but you know, like I said, IBA is just a little bit more tight knit. You know, I get to see my people. And I love them all. I do. I really do. But it's kind of cool to the smaller groups. All right, let's do another heat. All right, we've got a lot of bending going on right now, so I definitely need to, let me swap tongs and see if that'll help me any. May not, actually. All right, so we've gotten rid of that point, and I'm pretty happy with that. So I think the next thing that we're going to do is look at measuring this so we can cut it in half. So I think I'm going to take or turn off the forge, the little one. And then we're going to set things up for cutting this in the quarters that we need to do. All right, so I want to cut the head in half this direction. So that we have half of the head on either side to kind of create a hand guard. And then, like I said, we want to flip this 180 degrees, and then we want to cut at or twist a 90 degree and cut this direction. So we'll see how that goes. Sunlu Raid. Welcome, everybody. Hello, hello. Thank you so much for the raid. This is a raid on Twitch. Yeah, welcome to the stream. Hey, everybody. I'm Ray. I am a blacksmith. Today, we're working on a railroad spike dagger. This is an interesting kind of challenge that a lot of blacksmiths have been doing over on YouTube over the past several months. They've kind of been putting their own spin on it. So what I have here is a railroad spike. We've done a little bit of upsetting, which is the process of hammering steel back on itself to thicken it up. And so I got rid of the point at the end of the railroad spike. So now we have a nice square end on it. And then we have the head of the railroad spike. So the design for this particular dagger is going to be it's a plus. So it's kind of, they call it the design a Friedrich's cross. It's kind of like this guy right here. So we cut it apart and splay it out into a T, right? So we'll have a handle, we'll have a point, and we'll have a hand guard on either side. So we are just about ready to start cutting this apart. And then we'll start up the forge again and start spreading out the wings. And then we'll start kind of creating our dagger, kind of shaping the handle and the blade. We're not going to do terribly much for the handguard because the handguard is being made up by the head of the spike. So we want the spike to be very visible, very prominent in this design. So welcome in, everybody. And hey, Bluesy, welcome to the stream. Hello, hello. All right, do we want to start by cutting the railroad spike, the head of it, or do we want to start on the 90 degree and cutting apart the blade? I think we're going to start by cutting apart the spike itself. And the reason for that is because I think that's actually going to be the hardest thing to do. And I like starting with the hardest part. I'm going to have to come out to that then. Yeah, like I said, IBA is a great conference. It's very close-knit. There's a lot of people to talk to, and a lot of people will talk to you at that conference. Okay. So we are going to be using an angle grinder to cut this guy in half. On a post vise. So I'm going to move my water. IPA, good beer. No, I'm talking about the IBA, which is the Indiana Blacksmith Association Conference. They have a yearly conference every year. And yeah, I've been able to attend the last 2 years. Okay, let's see. We're going to change the camera angle so everybody can see what's going on. And then, I imagine you prefer IPAs, you know? I don't blame you. I don't blame you. All right, so we're putting on a dust mask so we don't end up inhaling the dust that's created by this. All right, we're going to move that so I don't fall and trip. And then we're going to move my hair so I don't melt it. We're starting slow so that we can make sure that everything is nice and even as we're going. And then we will continue to cut this in half. All right. Looking at the the demo that I've had, you can definitely tell that I need to move the view a little bit so you guys can see what I'm doing a little bit better than the back end of the angle grinder. So let's see if I can't do this a little easier and a little prettier for you guys. All right, you guys can kind of see that starting. And what we're going to do is we're going to flip this over. I'll see if I can't add a little bit more, but this right here, this head is going to cause a little bit of issues. So we may end up having to open this up a little bit weirdly. Let's see if I can't. Nope, we're not going to be able to get in there very well. So what we're going to do is we're going to start opening this up, and we will continue the cut all the way down after it's partially open, I think. We might actually use a hot cut too to kind of finish that up. So the next thing that we're going to do is we are going to turn this 90 degrees like so. Start working. You can kind of see the line that I have there. We're going to start working on that. Oh, or I can drop it. That works too. I do drop things quite often around here. See if I can't. Okay, cool. The angle grinder and the sparks look cool. Yes. Let me see if I can't expand that so I can. It is such a lovely angle grinder, and the spikes look cool as well, right? All right. We're going to keep on keeping on. I think I'm going to turn this 90 degrees. It's going to help me out a bit, I think. That way I'm not throwing sparks directly at the camera and at myself. Or I could move it every few seconds. You know what? It's all right. We don't mind that. We don't mind that at all. Where's going to be the best way to hold that? I think we're going to do it this way. We should be able to put. Ouch. Raw. Open this up like so. And drop it. Raw. You know what? You know what? It's what I have gloves for, right? It's what I have gloves for. All right. Theoretically, or wow. Struggle. The struggle is real, guys. The struggle is real today. There we go. All right. That should be in there pretty decent. Move the meatball out of the way, and let's do this. And this, my dears, is why I said that this would probably take me to... Oh no. Give me one moment. I got a few flying sparks. Okay. We're good. We're good. Okay, we're good. This is what happens when you do things live. Raw and uncut. Okay. We are going to... So right now, what it looks like we have is a laundry, like a clothespin. That's what I'm trying to say. It kind of looks like a clothespin to me. We're going to open that up as we go, we're going to continue that cut on both the end and on the head. Struggle Bus is not a bad ride, right? Yeah, we spend a little bit of time struggling and a lot of time learning around here. Now let's move this out of the way so we don't trip over it there. Okay, so I am going to disconnect the mailbox, connect up the big forge, and then we are going to start opening this up. Like I said, it's going to take us a little bit of extra time. We're going to be using the angle grinder in between heats to kind of continue opening this up because we want both of those cuts to meet in the middle at a perpendicular angle like so we can open that up, unfold it, and create a T. All right, so I'm going to pan the camera over a little. And as you can see, I got my door open and stuff, but we're going to close that a little bit. I've got another garage door open for ventilation and a fan. This particular bottle of gas has the valve has turned a little bit, so it makes it harder to unhook it. All right. It's finger tight now. All right, so we're taking the regulators, switching them out. Are you heavy enough? I think you're heavy enough. We should be able to power the big forge for a little while. I did also buy a brand new tank of gas so that I wouldn't have to worry about running out in the middle of stream, because we've been using the big forge a lot recently. All right, let's tighten this up. Make sure there's no leaks, and we're good on that. Let's start her up. Yes, exactly. The harder you struggle, the better you feel about when it actually works for you, I find. Everything works out. Oh. Let's try this. Now we're going to struggle with the lighting the forge. Because, you know, we do that too. There we go. Starting to run out of gas in the torch. All right. I think we're going to use these tongs to stick this guy in there. And it'll take a little bit of time to heat up. Okie doke. Open the big door again and pan back over. Alrighty. So it was storming earlier this morning. It was raining pretty hard when I woke up this morning. And so as a result, it's kind of really humid. The sun has come out and it's starting to burn away all the clouds and all of the moisture. But now it's all in the air. So while it's not hot, it's definitely humid. I don't know what's worse, heat or humidity, when it comes to, you know, just weather in general, and let alone, you know, in the blacksmith shop. All right, let's put this guy away. So, I haven't really thought too hard about what my next projects are going to be after this railroad spike dagger and the stake turner. So I talked to you guys a little bit on Monday about my Instagram blacksmith challenge. So for those of you who are new to the stream, I am in a Instagram group chat with about a dozen blacksmiths, and we challenge each other each month to create a new and exciting blacksmithing project. Normally we've got a month to do the challenge, but this month we have till the end of September, and the challenge for this month is a gate latch or a door handle. So it's got to move and be mounted to at least a wooden board. So if you move it on front of the board, then it has to move in the back. So like I said, it's like a gate latch or like a twist knob or something like that. So I'm debating if I want to start working on one of those, or if we have another project that we'd like to do. Gungaron, welcome to the stream. Hello. The combination heat and humidity is worse, right? Yeah. I mean, I think that is worse, when it is hot and humid at the same time. But yeah, so I'm not sure. Do I want to do a gate latch for my next project, or do I want to do something else? I did the projects that we're currently doing are kind of like quick projects, something that's kind of like a palette cleanser out of the axe that we made. So it would be appropriate to do a much more challenging project. This gate latch is something that I'll need to research a little bit to kind of figure out how I want to go about it and what I want to do for the design. But I also, I don't want to have to reinvent the wheel. So it's definitely something that if I attempt, I'm probably going to kind of take a look at other people's work and figure out how they've done gate latches and doorknobs and kind of work in the same vein, kind of do like more of a copy. It's definitely going to be a multi-piece project, so I think it could be fun. I think I might try it. I know I want to try it, right? I just don't know when I want to try it. I don't know if I'll be able to get it done within the time frame. So part of me is like, let's just keep going on some more fun projects, and then we'll add that one to the list at a later date. So I don't know. What do you guys think? Latch is a fun project, is it? I also think latches are pretty fun, it sounds like a pretty fun project. I know for sure that it's definitely something I want to do because there is a hook and eye latch that is part of the Abana level 1 core the level 1 curriculum. That's what I want to call it. It's their level 1 curriculum. And I definitely want to do the level 1, 2, and 3 curriculums as I get to the point where I am capable of doing them. I would like to be certified by Abana. So, I don't know. I think the latch could be a nice challenge. So we'll see how I'm feeling on Monday. That's probably when we'll start the challenge, or the next project at least. How we doing? I think we're doing all right. We're at a nice orange. So sometimes it takes a little bit of time to get our pieces hot. But yeah, so what we're gonna start doing for our first heat is we are going to take that spike where there used to be the point, and we're going to splay that open first. We're going to wait a little bit before we do the head, and for the hand guards, Like I said, I kind of want to spend a little bit of time seeing if I can't maybe use a little bit of heat to open that up like a hot cut. Maybe I don't know. I think it would be better. I did a rudimentary dragon head wing latch with a twist tail. Ooh, that sounds like fun. That sounds like a lot of fun. Very artistic. We tried doing some animals a couple of months ago, and I felt like I just did not have the proper tools in order to do them. So I made myself a pair of wolf jaw tongs in hopes that I'd be able to hang on to pieces of stock that I was turning into animal heads a little bit better and a little bit easier. And I think that they're definitely going to help us the next time we do an animal challenge. But yeah, I think I want to do something really, really basic. Like I said, I don't really want to reinvent the wheel with this latch. I just kind of want to create something that is well put together, you know, and skillful. And I know that I have a lot of challenge doing skillful work. I just don't, I'm kind of new to like moving metal the way that I want to. A lot of my previous experience with blacksmithing was just bending and twisting. And so I need to get some good metal moving going. All right, I'm gonna move the camera real fast, and then maybe we'll be able to get started. We shall see. Okay. All right, looks like we got some decent heat, but I think we're ready to go. So let's try this. Let's try this. You know what? That was not the best way to try this. I've done it again. I'm trying to be all like efficient and stuff, and I did a bad job of being efficient. All right. Let's see. All right, well, we're going to turn it over and we're going to try to, maybe we'll use a different set of tongs. That's probably our best bet. I'm kind of discombobulated this morning, apparently, or this afternoon, I guess. These are not conducive to that, so let's do these tongs again. These will be better. These will be better. The struggle is real, man. The struggle is real. Pappas is on a 3-stream streak. Welcome to the stream. Thank you so much for joining us today. Welcome in. Hello, hello. Thank you so much for your continued support. 3 whole streams. That's awesome. That is so cool. Give me just 1 second here. You know what? I'm not seeing everything. 100 gems. Thank you. Oh, 300 gems. Thank you so much for cheering 300. Thank you so, so much. But yeah, welcome and thank you so much for that support. Thank you so much. All right. Struggling like that has kind of made me wonder if I might want to bring out my hot cut. Maybe not yet. We'll probably do it in a little bit. Not yet. Always happy to see you. Yeah, thank you. Welcome in, welcome in. Apparently there's some spider webs under in my shelf. All right. Okay. Let's see. See if I can turn up the heat just a little bit, and then we'll get started. All right, let's see. All right, that's definitely what I want to see. You can definitely see that it's starting to open like so. So we're gonna. All right, so it looks like one side is a little bit thinner than the other, and so this side is moving a lot less. I don't think that's necessarily a bad thing. From here, what we're going to do is we are going to cut a little bit further down now that we have moved some of that steel out of the way, and then we will reheat this. I don't know. I probably, maybe I didn't switch cameras. Apologies for that. Definitely should have switched cameras. I'm apparently not doing so hot today. I apologize. All right. That'll be a good spot. Okay. Here we go. Doing great, no worries. All right. So we've gotten further down now. You can see that just like so. So we're going to heat this back up, and we are going to splay these out a little bit further. I think that is as far down as we're going to go with this particular piece. Or for that side, I guess. Okay. All right, we're doing all right. Yes. Okay. There we go. I am smelling a little bit of burning paper, which was a piece of a paper towel that I stomped out, but I'm just making sure that it didn't blow anywhere else. I think we're doing all right. Okay. So the hardest part of this project is definitely opening up our Friedrich's cross, right? Because the angle grinder has that round cutting disc. We're not going all the way through. It'd be a lot easier if we had a straight blade. So a hacksaw or like a bandsaw, but my bandsaw, it's the guides are not straight, so I have a tendency to create very curved cuts, and so it's a lot better or for me specifically, to at least start my cuts with an angle grinder if I have a long cut along something skinny. So there is a chance that, we might go back to the bandsaw, but probably not. I think we should be able to get this done relatively easily as is. All right, so the steel is starting to heat up pretty good. Once we get this splayed out, like I said, we're gonna flip it around and splay out the head, the opposite side, and then we're gonna start doing a little bit of drawing out. I want to thicken up, especially the handle. Hey, Blue Red, welcome to the stream. Hello, hello. Ooh, you've got your new icon on. It looks very nice. I hope you guys like those icons. Right now I'm over on Twitch. I have a drops campaign going. It's a creator drop campaign. There is 2 drops. One is for watching for 6 hours, which is just shy of 3 streams for the rest of the month of August. So I think it's still kind of reasonable. And the other drop is for subscribing. You can subscribe yourself, you can subscribe using Prime, or you can gift a sub. And we've got Smithy badges for you guys. So I'm super excited. I hope you like them. Yeah, but that is my first drop campaign in hopefully a few. I'd like to do some more drop campaigns as time goes on. Okay, let's move the camera again. I like the Smithy Watcher badge. Yes. You guys labeled yourselves the Smithies, and so originally I was going to give that to you as a emote, but it seemed like a pretty good thing to give you guys as a badge for watching and subscribing. That way the true blue Smithies are the ones that get them. All right. Let's open these up just a little bit more. All right, so we've got like a big curve on that leg, and I want to take that out. So we're going to bring it over. Like so. And we're doing it. It's working for us. It's working for us. Now I need to open this side up a little bit further. So that's what we're going to do. Hey guys, I didn't drop it that time. Aren't you proud? There we go. Now that's nice and in there. So we are going to open up the head of this thing just a hair. Then we are going to use the angle grinder to cut it open a little bit further. And then we will continue opening it up just like we just did on the blade and handle side. I'm debating. I think I want to use a chisel, but a bigger chisel to open this up. So I think what we're going to do is we are going to have the splayed out half on the face of the anvil, and then we are going to probably use the chisel to open that up. I think. We'll see. If I can get it to stand up, that is. If not, you know what? Maybe it would be better if I use the hot cut. Then I won't have to have multiple hands. So let's do the hot cut. Let's try that. Let me check to make sure you guys can see the hot cut. We'll move the camera again, because the hot cut is definitely not in focus right now. That's one of those tools that I always forget I have, you know, the hot cut. The spike in its current shape reminds me of Robert Crumb Keep On Truckin' illustrations. Ah, I see. I don't know that I'm familiar with Robert Crumb. Let me take a look. Let me take a look. Is it because the legs are splayed so far open? That's kind of what that reminds me of. Yeah, the legs. Yeah, because they're like way splayed open. So that's funny. All right. We've got plenty of heat, so let's open this other side. We'll see how well this goes. We might have another heat where I'm a little bit discombobulated. I'm not entirely sure how I want to go about this yet. Hopefully we'll figure it out, though. Hopefully we'll figure it out. I'm going to grab this with these tongs, probably. Yeah, like so. That'll make it easier. Whoops, dropping tongs this time. Are they opening? Is it opening? A little bit, not a lot. What if I go like this? Is this going to help us? No, because these legs are too far splayed open still. Let's do that for the moment. All right, now it's starting to open up. Check that out. That's a lot better, I think. That's what I want to see. They're starting to open up real nice. All right, so I think we're going to heat this up and do one more heat. I want to splay this out a little bit further. We're probably going to use the corner of the anvil to do that. That will give us a little bit more space to get that angle grinder disc in there. Shouldn't need this again. All right, we'll put that away. Put those there. Slow going, getting everything splayed out, but once it's together, we should be fine. We should get a lot of, we should get the shape we want relatively soon. I am kind of starting to think that maybe I should have upset the legs a little bit further. It is a little bit on the thin side still. Like where the blade and the handle are going to be. So I'm a little bit worried we're not going to get like a full-size parrying dagger. We'll kind of see what happens. I do want to kind of upset it so that we've got a long, thin section of steel. I want to kind of square it off, maybe upset that down, and we'll see what we can get from there. It's still moving in exactly the way I had planned for this project. So I'm not unhappy with it at all. But yeah, like I said, we are going to splay open the head of this railroad spike. That way we can open the rest of the way with the angle grinder, kind of make sure we finish that cut. And then we should be able to flatten everything out. That's the goal, is to flatten everything out. All right. Let's do our next heat. But I think I'm going to move. I keep moving the camera. I keep moving the camera. But I want to keep things like relatively centered so you guys can kind of see them. There, we'll go with that. And we'll put myself right there. All right, so we've got plenty of space to open that up a little bit, I think. So we're going to put this into the post vise in this direction. We're going to continue splaying that open. Okay. All right, we've opened it up a little bit further, but not enough. So I think what we're going to end up having to do is continue using the hot cut. We've made a lot of progress, but I think that's as much progress as we're going to be able to make with the angle grinder, especially on that side. See if we can't make a little bit more. I don't think we can make much progress there either. I think we're going to end up using the hot cut to finish those out, those cuts. So let's move this over here. Okay. So I think most of today is just going to be splaying out the legs. Hopefully we'll be able to kind of make things work and open them up. Give me half 1 second. So OBS has kind of reduced the amount of docks that they have. I did an update, and I think I might be, I don't know if anybody else has followed, but I'm missing, I can't see anybody's follows. I'm missing some docs. I'll have to figure out where the new ones are, or where more of them are. All right, well, I'll do that when I'm not actually live. But yeah, so OBS had an update today, and so every time I do an update for OBS, something gets screwed up or I lose something. So I updated OBS, and now I can't see when people have followed or, you know, that sort of thing. So if you have followed me on Twitch or YouTube subscription, please do know that I appreciate you and thank you so much for those follows and subscriptions. But yeah, like I said, I will try and figure out a way that I can see those again. All right, let's do another heat. All right. Let us, it looks like I'm starting to really kink that leg, so I think I'm going to have to figure that out real fast. I don't want to end up breaking it off. So that's going to be our next heat, is figuring out this leg. So we're getting closer. We've got about 1.5 inches that is not really cut properly, that we're gonna have to open up. And so I have to kind of figure out how I want to go about that. And from there, we should be able to start really working on creating our dagger. You know what, I also have, or the other thing that I haven't seen is I haven't seen any of the ads today. So ordinarily my OBS will show my ads and stuff. So I don't know. I haven't seen those either. Why I really don't like updating OBS. Things change around and I gotta figure out where everything is, or you know, what, or updating my plugins and things like that. Goodness. All right. Let's do another heat. Like I said, we are going to spend a little bit of time trying to figure out a good way to straighten out that leg a little bit. Got a weird kink in it. And I don't want it to ruin things. I do want these to be open though. So that's not too bad. I wonder if I could just use the angle grinder to continue opening that up. Might actually be the way to go. Let me take a try on that. All right. So we're a lot closer. You can kind of see that now. Should be able to open that up pretty nicely. So let's see if we can't do that. So I think we're going to go back to the Hardy. There we go. That should work pretty well. We should be good. Once it gets nice and hot and everything. So when I woke up this morning, I totally thought it was Friday. I don't know why I thought it was Friday, but I thought it was Friday. And so I looked at the calendar and I was like, wow, no, it's Wednesday. And you guys ever do that? I mean, I can't stand that, you know? Not that I really have much of a leg to stand on, because I don't really have much difference between my during the week and during the weekend, aside from the butler being home more on the weekend than on the weekend or during the week. But yeah, it's kind of crazy, you know. Hate when I do that. Yeah, so like I said, I thought it was Friday this morning when I woke up. I was like, oh, I'm gonna get a chance to work on our axe and stuff this, in a little bit. And I was kind of looking forward to it and kind of not looking forward to it, because that axe and I are not getting along. I've done that before. It really messes up the week, doesn't it? Honestly, I think the reason that it happened is because the butler had a night shift on Monday, right? So the butler didn't go into work until just before I started stream. And so that doesn't normally happen. You know, it's kind of more like that's a Friday thing to happen. And so I don't know, I guess I thought it was like Wednesday or Friday or something instead of, because I mean, it was almost like having a 3-day weekend. It was kind of like a 2.5-day weekend for the butler. And yeah, so then it really kind of discombobulated my week. And yeah, it also kind of messes with my brain that I finished next week's video already. I finished it yesterday. And normally I finished up the videos on Thursdays. So, you know, it was a really, it was concisely shot. And so it was mostly just like slamming things together and making sure that everything fit and the B-roll went where it needed to go and the sound sounded all right. So I'm a little discombobulated today. And I was looking forward to, you know, the weekend. And this weekend is... my parents are coming to visit me because, you know what, I totally forgot. If it was Friday, it would be my birthday, but you know what, it's not. Friday is my birthday, guys. Wow, I thought it was Friday and yet I forgot Friday is my birthday. That's great. That's how my week has been going. So yes, guys, Friday is my birthday. I don't actually have anything planned for it. Last year I had a really cool celebration planned. We got cupcakes. We had a sale on subscriptions. We went out and we did coal forge things. I think it's probably this year it's going to be a relatively regular stream. I apologize. I kind of forgot that my birthday was this week. Yeah. How does it feel to be approaching 21 years old again? I know, right? I wish I was approaching 21 years old again. Maybe 21 for like the 19th time? I told my parents and the butler that I was just going to tell everyone that I was 39 again for the second time, and that I have 6 years until anyone notices too badly, right? I have a sister, and she's like 6 years younger than me, so, you know, I can probably get away with it for 6 years, right? All right, let's do our next heat, though. We can talk a little bit more about getting older and birthdays. Good thing Shelly isn't here. Oh. All right, we're opening it up again. That's pretty good. We're opening it up again. All right. So I think we're going to spend a little bit of time on the face of the anvil. I want to heat this back up again, and we want to splay it all the way out. Like I said, I've kind of created a weird upset corner there, which is probably not good. We're probably going to get a little bit of a kink there. Hopefully it's not too bad and I can correct that without breaking it off. But we'll see. And you know, we also live and learn. You can be twinsies in 6 years, right? I don't know that anyone would believe that my sister and I am twins. My sister is like 3 inches taller than me and has much darker brown hair. So I don't think we look like twins, but you know, maybe we could like pretend. But yeah, this month has been so crazy for me. I had to cancel like a whole week's worth of streams because I got that grinder bite and then I got sick, and then, you know, even after that I came back and then I had family unexpectedly come in. So yeah, I've missed 4 streams this month. It has really thrown off my sense of time. I felt like I had another week before my birthday, but yeah, 2 days. That is crazy. I don't know that the butler is aware that my birthday is that close. Normally the butler is like asking if I want like a cake or something for my birthday, and I have not heard hide nor hair about that. Maybe it's because we should be getting groceries today. I'll bet you that's what it is. We haven't gotten groceries this week, and so therefore the butler hasn't had to ask about what kind of cake I want for my birthday. So I will give them the benefit of the doubt, especially since I'm the one who like completely forgot this month. I completely forgot about my birthday. It's not fair to blame the butler, right? All right, so I'm pretty happy with how this piece is being splayed out. Like I said, I am a little bit worried about the blade and the handle being a little bit too thin. So I think upsetting is going to be the way to go. I got to figure out if I can make that happen. But before we get there, we still have to we have to flatten this out. So that is going to be the next thing that we do in this next heat. We're going to flatten it out, or at least attempt to. You know what? I know. I'm moving the camera a lot today, but you know what? I'm moving the surfaces that I am hammering on a lot today. It's very important that you guys are able to see everything. So let's do that. Let's do that for now. We're getting there. We've got much more of a curve on this side, so I am a lot less worried than on that side. Like I said, I'm a tiny bit worried about that. So let's heat this back up again and keep on keeping on. Looks like we got about 45 minutes left in the stream, so, you know, not too bad. We will get this nice and flat, and we'll be able to start working on the handle and the blade. At least I hope so. I think so. Yeah, that's where I want it to be. That's where I want it to be. Okay. Let's do another hit. So do we have any Pokemon fans in the audience? All right, so there is still a little bit of a corner there. We're going to kind of try and fix that a little bit. Got a little bit of thinness. So I think what we're going to do is we are going to squish it this direction. But before we do that, I want to straighten out this section, make it as flat as possible. Pokemon fan here. I can spell Pokemon. Does that count? So today I learned that Krispy Kreme has new Pokemon donuts and I'm super excited. I really want some and I'm afraid that I'm not going to get any because there just won't be any left. So I'm super excited about the Pokemon donuts. I want a Pikachu and a Squirtle. Ooh, I saw that on Facebook. Yeah, so I was all excited. I texted the butler about it, and the butler's like, "Oh, I heard about that, and I heard that if you go on Saturday, they'll give you a free one, but that also there are scalpers who are invading and like really trying to get all of the boxes and all of the cups and stuff. So I think it would be really sad if there weren't any Pokemon donuts at my local Krispy Kreme. Because I really want some Pokemon donuts. I didn't really get into Pokemon until Pokemon Go, you know? When I was a kid, I never got a chance to play the games or anything like that, and I didn't really have the ability to watch the TV show because I didn't have a lot of channels at home. So yeah, I didn't get into it until after Pokemon Go happened, and so I'm super excited about these donuts. You know, I'm gonna get my inner kid on. You know, like when I went to the post office to get some SpongeBob Forever stamps, and they had already sold out. Yeah, that's sad. SpongeBob is also great, guys. SpongeBob is also great. I was not really young enough to like be too terribly into it when I was a kid. I was already in high school when it really started, but I did have siblings and they watched SpongeBob. So then when I moved out, we didn't have cable anymore, so I didn't really get to watch a lot of it. But SpongeBob, what I did watch, the first, like, I don't know, maybe 5 seasons, 3 to 5 seasons, it was great. I love SpongeBob. But it has been a great week for me. You know, like I said, we got the Pokemon donuts, and then we also got the Sarah J. Maas announcement about her new 2 books that are coming out in, I think, September and October, and I'm super excited about those 2. They're terrible books, absolutely wretched books, but they're guilty pleasures. I really like reading them because they're incredibly predictable, and I love reading predictable books. It's kind of relaxing for my brain. So I'm super excited. Outside of it being obnoxiously weird this week and thinking it was Friday, I got some pretty good announcements this week. All right, let's do another heat. So we've got some movement that we need to take care of. So we're probably going to head over to the edge of the anvil. We need to make some adjustments on the edges here. It looks like this side is going to be our handle and that side is going to be our blade. It looks like that's how that's going to work. So yeah, we are about ready to get to the point where we're starting to shape things up. Because we're about as flat as I'm going to get right this moment, I think. All right. Let's get some more heat on there and we'll start shaping things. And we're gonna move the the camera again, because I think we're gonna actually use the horn of the anvil a little bit to get some of that movement that we need, because we've got the head that is blocking the rest of our material and making it really hard to kind of move around and work around it. So we're gonna try the horn first, and then from there we might also try the heel of the anvil. So yeah, we've gotten some good announcements recently for pop culture. I'm super excited about. Super. Thank you so much for following Rambling Blue. Oh, and I have a follower goal met of 600 followers. Thank you so much for that follow on Twitch. Welcome to the stream and welcome to the community. Thank you so much, guys. Thank you so much. We are well on our way to 1,000 followers. It's probably my goal for the end of the year, is to have 1,000 followers. That's a big goal, 400 followers. I hope we can get there. I mean, you know, it's a kind of a pie in the sky goal, but we'll see. We'll see what happens. I just got a forge a couple months ago, following for educational purposes. Yeah. I'm kind of like, I've been forging since 2010. I did take a 5-year break when I got sick around 2020. And we're back in the shop. We've been around for, well, since November of 2024. So we are at over a year and a half that we've been back in the forge. I'm kind of learning things again, learning the things that I didn't know before. And yeah, so I appreciate your follow, and maybe we can learn together. I also recommend my YouTube, which is under the same name. I have a lot of different artist interviews and good tips all around for over on the YouTube. I go to lots of blacksmithing conferences, and I get to talk to a lot of really amazing and talented blacksmiths, and they all also have tips to give my audience. So yeah, check that out if you are, able to. Okay, let's do our next heat. Whoops. Like I said, it's going to be on the horn. We're going to see if we can't use a little bit of finagling. Having a little bit of trouble pulling this out of the forge. We'll get there, though. We'll get there. Like I said, we're going to have a little bit of trouble with those side hand guards, or what we are creating or making into hand guards. So I'm going to try and kind of straighten it out a little bit as we go. Make it a little bit easier to work around. So not too bad. Like I said, we are kind of creating a thick blade at this point. This is going to be the blade. The other end is going to be the handle. Trying to flatten everything out, make sure it's nice and gonna work for us. Get some more heat. Finally, I found some tongs at a flea market. Ooh, that's where I found my first set of tongs, was at a flea market. My very first set of tongs were this set right here. This is a set of horseshoers tongs, and they're really loose, and it was a pain in the butt to use them. And then I made this set of tongs using this set of tongs, and I was off to the races after that. I think making tongs is one of my favorite beginner projects because there are so many different beginner techniques involved in making a set of tongs. You've got to isolate things, you've got to draw things out, you have to punch holes, you have to do rivets, and it's such a great project. And so I definitely recommend using your new tongs to make another set of tongs. Oh, cool. I like how the spike heads are the cross guard. Yeah, that's the idea of this whole project, is I wanted the head of the spike to be the cross guard. There's a couple of different blacksmiths and bladesmiths who've been making like carrying daggers out of railroad spikes, and it looks really cool because they got the railroad spike heads as the guard, and that's my plan if I can make that happen. I heard that in some traditions, Adam was given tongs before being expelled from Eden, since you need tongs to make tongs. I don't know about that. But maybe. I'm not amazingly well versed in a lot of different Bible verses and stories. I mean, I grew up in the church, and I learned a lot of stories, but I don't know that I remember them all. Also, my anvil is sourced from an abandoned railroad crossing. Those are also really great. Railroad tracks, old ones, they make really good anvils. And I also would recommend just using it as is. Chop it up into a reasonable piece, but don't try and make it look like an anvil, because you'll end up losing a lot of the stability by cutting into that central like upright. So a lot of guys will start with them, and yeah, they work beautifully, but they work better if you just leave them in their native shape, I guess. I would show you my anvil, or my railroad anvil. I've got one. It's underneath of the computer stand. I use it as a weight so that I don't end up knocking it over when I move the computer stand around. However, it's a little bit on the heavy side, and I don't want to tire myself out too much trying to move it. I have no means to cut the thing. It ain't getting cut or modified. Well, like I said, it's going to be a more useful anvil. It's going to last a lot longer, and you're going to be able to use it for heavier blows if you just use it in its native shape. It's kind of amazing how much abuse a rail section can take. It can. I mean, it's hardened steel. I've seen people make weaponry or like sharps from them, like knives and axes and things like that. They work beautifully. They stay sharp forever. I mean, they're great. And if you're using them as anvils, they have amazing bounce and return, which is awesome for blacksmithing because you don't want to have to pick up your hammer every single blow. Having a little bit of bounce so that it helps you pick up your hammer is ideal. That's why you look for the ring and the bounce. All right, let's do another heat. Making progress. Yes, I am. At least I'm trying to make progress. I'm trying to make progress. All right. So there's where we are for the moment. I'm going to turn this around this direction. And then we're going to work a little bit on this side, trying to thin that out, square it up, and then we're going to upset it back in on itself. We don't quite need that much. I don't know. Maybe we do, actually. Now that I look at it, we might need that much. But yeah, we're going to straighten that up, and we'll see what we need to do for it. I need to make a good tree trunk stand for one, because it's pretty awkward working on ground level with it. Oh, it definitely is. So my stand for this anvil is 4x4s, right? So I got two 4x4 by 8 foot sections, and I cut it, and so I have 9 sections that are they're about 18 inches tall, and so I've bolted them all together so that it all stays in a stand, and then that's what my anvil sits on. And in order to make sure that the anvil doesn't move around, I actually have screws that I have kind of outlined the base, the foot of my anvil with. That way I can pull the anvil off the stand and move them both separately or together if necessary. That's why in the clip where I pull up the anvil and I pick it up, I have a lot of trouble putting it back down on the anvil stand. It's designed specifically to hold it in place side to side, but not vertically. I don't know, but if you stop now, it's still a pretty cool branding iron. It would be. The amount of contact a wheel makes on the track is less than 0.5 inches squared. Considering a coal car has almost 40 tons per axle, that's about 20 tons put on an area the size of a dime. Railroad track is strong. It is. It's so strong. And that's why those upright sections, you know, because you've got like the thick rail and then you've got the foot, but that straight section there, that's where all of its strength comes from, right? So you don't want to cut into it because you're going to end up losing the heel and horn that you create, or the makeshift ones. Better to use it as is. I have run out of water and I didn't even realize it. What time is it? We've got about 20 minutes left. All right, I'm out of water. Are you guys going to remember? I won't remember. Maybe you guys can help me remember that I'm out of water. Or should I get more? I think I'm going to do another heat and then I will consider getting more. I may try to grind the top to a point to make a horn, but the upright part won't be getting touched. Ray! What's up? Yeah, I mean, you might want to do a little bit of a rounder top for a fullering section, but as long as that straight gets, it stays. Yeah, I do need more water. Stays. Then you should have plenty of, it should work beautifully for you, is what I'm trying to say. Like I said, I'm going to do one more heat, and then from the, I think I'll grab a little bit more water. I won't need a full thing, but, you know. Okay, let's do this heat, though. You know what? I keep doing that, and I want it over there. Okay. Starting to twist on me, so we're trying to straighten this out, square it up real nice. And those sides are thickening up pretty nicely. Not too bad, not too bad. Okay. So like I said, I kind of want to square off this back end that's going to turn into the handle. I got a little bit of a thin spot there. We'll fix that a little bit, I think. I think we can still fix that. But yeah, it'll make it a lot nicer if we square that out. And then we'll start working on the blade again. Is there something I've wanted to get into since I was like 10? I'm almost 32 now. I also have an aluminum furnace. I see. Yeah, I started casting a lot earlier than I started my blacksmithing. I went to college for silversmithing and casting. I didn't really have necessarily a major aside from studio art, but those were the two things that I was most passionate about, was silversmithing and casting. So I've done aluminum, bronze, brass, sterling silver, iron as casting force. Are you going to flatten it so the handle, blade, and hand guards are all on the same plane? I would like to. I got to figure out a good way to do that. I'll probably end up upsetting that central area. But I got to figure out a good way to do it without muddying it up, if that makes sense. I never finished college, dropped out after a semester. I'm a butcher. I mean, that's a reasonable career choice. I know it cost me I had like $21,000 in loans after I finished college. I've paid them all off, but only because I got lucky, and not really lucky either. An inheritance. So, I mean, how lucky is that? It took me relatives passing away in order to pay off my student loans, Oh, I was going to get water, guys. I was going to get water. I think we're going to do 1 or 2 more heats, and then I'll probably raid off, so I'm not going to get some water yet. Yep, I thought I failed back then, but now I realized I dodged a bullet. I mean, I would say so. Student loans are no joke. I don't think it is political to say that. Actually not a bullet, a financial tactical nuke. Yes, definitely. All right, let's do another heat. Yeah, we're good. All right. I think I'm done for the moment with that handle. I think I do need to address the central area because the hand guard is there's a big bulge there, and I want to take care of that. I just am not entirely sure how I want to go about it. And my Band-Aid's falling off. That's always the best. That is an ugly cut. I don't want you guys to have to see that. Do you have a rebound on the anvil where that steel plate is gone? I actually do. I actually do. Let's see if I can't. Okay, cool. So let me demonstrate. Can you show the rebound with the hammer? Yeah. So that's good. Yeah, it's pretty good. You don't need a bandage, just a paper towel and about a foot of electrical tape, right? So what that is I was grinding our axe that we made last week, and I slipped and got another grinder bite. I got one on this finger 2 weeks ago, grinding the same, or I guess it wasn't the same axe. It was the axe drift that we made in order to make the axe. So I'm not doing so hot with grinders lately. But yeah, so I'm trying to keep it covered so that it doesn't get filthy. All right, I'm gonna move the camera one last time for our last heat. I did say that we were only going to do 2 more heats, and that was this will be our second heat of those 2. So we're gonna go into that center area. And I think I'm actually also gonna be changing hammers. Also changing hammers. I think we're gonna change from the rounding hammer to a cross peen. This is one of my favorite hammers. One of my favorite hammers. My grandfather used this hammer, and I inherited it. Okay. Okay, let's do our next heat. And our last heat. This will be our last heat for the day. I will be continuing this project on Friday for those of you who would like to come back and hang out. Rawr. All right, we're going to continue working on that through our next stream, which is going to be Friday. We're getting there slowly but surely. We are going to spread that out a little bit, flatten it out, and then we're going to continue shaping the blade and the handle. So I hope to see you guys on Friday. I did not forge my cross peen. I did forge how I did splay out and I did cut and splay out our dagger, but I didn't, and I forged my tongs, but I did not forge the hammer. Whoops. There we go. All right. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. I've had a blast. I hope you guys have as well. Like I said, I will be back on Friday to continue working on our railroad spike dagger, and I hope to see you guys then. It will also be my birthday. I gotta remember, it will also be my birthday. I'll definitely be back. Well, hopefully, yeah. Welcome back when you do come back. I look forward to seeing you guys. Thanks for the stream. Had a blast. The dagger is shaping up. Yeah. Fingers crossed it works out for me because it'll be my birthday. All right. Let's raid off. I hope I have a good evening. You too, Corwin. You as well. All right, who are we raiding to? Who is around? So we are raiding off on Twitch and on YouTube. We'll be ending the stream here shortly. Okay. We're going to raid off to J.K. Newson. Ooh, cooking. That sounds pretty yummy to me. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. Have a wonderful rest of your evening. Bye, guys.